It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and yes, I'm getting to this very, very late for obvious reasons. The Super Bowl just happened. Congrats again to the Kansas City Chiefs. They won back-to-back championships. For the first time, we have back-to-back champions in the NFL since the New England Patriots 20 years ago. So that's why I'm kind of getting to this late as I'm recording this on the day of the Super Bowl. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can, because today we're taking a look at the movies of August 10th, 2001, and we've got 3 movies to look at, so let's go ahead and just get right to it. So let's just start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is, of course, American Pie 2. Of course, American Pie 2 is the sequel to the original American Pie. Everybody's back from the first movie, and I mean everybody. I mean, they got all the main cast members back for this one, and just like the first movie, it follows the sexual exploits of 5 friends, Jim, Kevin, Stifler, Oz, and Finch, as their attempts to have the greatest summer party ever at a summer beach house. And of course, hilarity and hijinks ensue. And like with the first American Pie movie, there is a lot of sex in this, and there is a lot of provocative stuff that is definitely R-rated material, and the prepubescent boy who saw this movie at 12 years old loved it, and that, of course, is me. And, yeah, it is what you think it is. If you saw the first American Pie film, you pretty much get everything you get in this movie. They do try to ramp it up a little bit more because it is a sequel. It's a bigger film compared to the previous movie, and you know, with sequels, you got to go big or go home. And it's definitely not as good as the original film, but it still has those moments where it's just like, I can't really knock this one down a peg because of that. I still really enjoyed the hell out of this movie, and it is still a fun movie. It's still nice to see all these guys together again. The writing overall is still very good. The comedy overall is still very good. It knows exactly what it's trying to do. And it's hard to believe this is the same director that gave us the infamously bad Say It Isn't So from earlier in the year. It's just like, how did you get this job in particular? I mean, it's not really a big job that you really have to do a whole lot of here. But unlike Say It Isn't So, this movie's actually funny and actually has stuff where the gross-out humor actually does work to the film's advantage. And there's still memorable lines in this movie all throughout. And again, it's like seeing all these guys coming back together again for what they're trying to do here. And it is a really well-done, well-made film. It's very funny. It's very much what you get from the first American Pie film. It's a comedy sequel, but it's not a bad comedy sequel. It's a sequel that's just as good, if not a little bit on par with the original film. And I really enjoyed it a lot. I can't recommend this one enough. If you like the first American Pie, you're definitely going to love American Pie 2. So, gonna get through these real quick, like I said. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Nicole Kidman in the horror film The Others. That's another one of those moments that's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be like the big thing that's supposed to get you into the seats. And I don't know, it just never really did it for me. Like, just the way she says that line, I am your daughter. Like, you're clearly not. And if you think that's trying to scare me, that's not doing a trick here. But this is still a good movie. You have takes place in 1945 Jersey, and it focuses on the woman played by Nicole Kidman and her 2 young photosensitive children who experience supernatural phenomenon in the large manor after the arrival of new servants. And the film overall is a decent film. It's a film that has a lot of moments in there where the horror aspects, the atmosphere does work very well. The cast overall is very well done. Nicole Kidman does a very good job of handling the performance of the film, and I think the direction overall definitely moves it up a peg. It's one of those horror movies that you think you know what it is going into it, but when you really look at it overall, you can tell that the person that made this movie wanted to tell a different kind of house horror storyline than what we're used to seeing. I mean, it's not the Amityville Horror by any means, but it actually does more with what it has to work with here, and it leads into a very entertaining film, and one that really allows you to suck up the atmosphere and actually get involved and actually get surprised by some scares in the movie, because there are some legitimately good scares in this movie that the trailers really do a good job of hiding and making sure that you go to see this movie in the theater to see the real scary stuff in here. And I think it's well done. I think it's a very good horror film overall. Even for somebody like me who's not the biggest horror film person, I do give it credit for what it was trying to do. It created a lot of great atmosphere overall, and it makes for a very entertaining film overall. A very good horror film. Very well done. I highly recommend The Others. So with that said, on to our last movie, and that is Osmosis Jones. So Osmosis Jones is the movie that was, at the time, a massive failure for Warner Brothers in terms of the box office. It was a big flop. It at a budget of $70 million, and it only earned $14 million in total. And but it did very well in terms of home media sales, and actually led to the creation of the Ozzy and Drake spin-off series on Kids WB, which actually proved to be more successful, running for 3 seasons. So at least it was doing something on that front. But the storyline of Osmosis Jones: he's a new strain of hero. He's one cell of a guy. He's Osmosis Jones. This infectiously funny live-action animated caper kicks off in the real world as Frank, played by Bill Murray, ingests a villainous virus named Thrax, played by Lawrence Fishburne. Now, deep inside the spectacular animated inner realm of the city of Frank, it's up to a maverick white blood cell cop named Osmosis Jones, played by Chris Rock, and his reluctant cold capsule sidekick Drix, played by David Hyde Pierce, to thwart Thrax's epidemic of evil. Join the most outrageous eternal adventure of all time in a contagious comedy that's lots of fun for the whole family. Oh, you and your stupid puns, Warner Brothers. It's sickening. And you think that this would be the worst thing that Warner Brothers would ever put as a studio, but no, David Zaslow's done a pretty good job to ruin that with all the things that he's done, specifically what he did for this week. But that's a plot that comes from the YouTube page when I was looking for the trailer for this, so don't blame me for that lousy pun. That's on... I could blame YouTube, but you know what? I'm blaming Warner Brothers. They're the one that put it on their channel. But don't worry. The entire movie itself is filled with so many of those puns, but some of them are just as bad as you think, and some are actually kind of good. I'll give this movie more credit than I think it deserves. It does have a lot of creativity to it. The animation in this is really good. The ideas of this are very fun and creative, and you can tell that there was a lot of later inspiration used for the much more successful Inside Out. I mean, there's a lot in here that works mostly on the animation side, even though some of the voice work isn't that bad in general. But really where the movie kind of falls apart is with the live-action sequences, mostly because they all feel out of sync and completely take you out of the movie in general. And it's clear that you have two very different versions of this movie appearing on screen, because you have the animation, which looks about where you would think it would be at. It looks very cool for a story like this. But then you have these live-action segments directed by the Farrelly brothers, who you know Warner Brothers got because they were still the hot shit back then, and there was something about Mary and, of course, Bill Murray, and they didn't bother to make any of the main characters in the live-action segments likable. I do not care for any single one of these people in this movie whatsoever. The problems whatsoever, the live-action actors I'm talking about here, and it should just be as important to the story as the animated characters are, but it really feels like the live-action sequences weren't met with the same respect and care that the animation did. It's like the same thing. They saw the animation, and Warner Brothers realized, we don't have any live-action stuff planned for this. Let's just get who's available at the moment to do 3 weeks' worth of stuff for us. It felt like the live-action stuff was more like an afterthought, and zero effort was put into that concept. And that's unfortunate, because if the live-action stuff was given actual effort to and also not to be seen as an afterthought, they could have had something here. But when you look at this film as a whole, the marketing for the film just feels like there was no fucks given whatsoever. I mean, look at the DVD for Osmosis Jones right here. Now look at the bottom of the cover. That's actually an original rough draft of Osmosis Jones that they just plastered on the cover with the characters from the final project. It's not even, I'm not even kidding, that's an actual still image of the original first drawings for Osmosis Jones. And I know this because it was in the Entertainment Weekly Summer Movie Preview magazine for 2001. That's how you know this movie is lazy. They place a rough draft image of the cover with the final version of the main character. It also doesn't help that Warner Brothers was really, like, in deep trouble with its animated film department. They were in this lull, and this was just another one of those big projects that lost them a ton of money. $70 million, only bringing back $14 million worldwide. It was the biggest failure the studio had during that brief 10-year period when Warner Brothers was trying to compete with Disney. That started, of course, with the success of Space Jam, as well as the financial failure of Looney Tunes Back in Action. But they did kind of resurge a little bit thanks to the Lego Movie and the movies that came after that. But even right now, they're kind of in limbo right now. I don't know if that's something that they really should be in a position that they're in right now. But I digress. As far as Osmosis Jones, the movie goes, with the animation, it's working. A few miscues and bad puns here or there, but it gets the job done. When it comes to the other parts of the movie, it falls off a careening cliff quickly. I'm so confused, I can't even talk right. But the movie falls off a careening cliff very quickly once we get to the live-action stuff. I mean, they should have been better written than they were here. Osmosis Jones is one of those curious misfires. That is another one of those what could have been movies. If they had somebody there to actually put as much effort into the live-action stuff as they did with the animated stuff, then you really would have had something very special here. Something with a lot of potential, but it never truly comes to fruition. So that's my thoughts on Osmosis Jones. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and when we meet next time, we'll take a look at 3 more movies, including the It's a Mad, 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 Mad World remake. Not really, it's just a different title, but it's very much that movie. It's Rat Race. It's that movie for a new generation, and that movie is, of course, Rat Race. We also have Nicole Kidman and Penelope Cruz and Captain Corelli's Madeline. And we also have American Outlaws, a movie that was trying to be the Young Guns for the 2000s. Did it work? We'll find out on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.